Say it again
I'm
and again?
asking you something else.
Okay.
Assuming the...
I'm going to object, Judge. You keep trying to get in there, assuming you did say it.
Yeah.
His testimony is very clear.
But I'm not asking now. I'm asking about, let's put it this way. In December of 2007, did you know that the government was alleging that Bonds had failed 3 drug tests?
I'm not sure.
When do you recall you learned?
I don't recall when I learned.
When was the first time you learned?
I don't know.
What was the source of the first time you learned?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Did you review any Bonds-related materials in connection with the preparation of your case?
Which case?
It's a criminal case. Not asking for which ones. I'm just asking, did you?
I don't know at what point. That this has been going on for 6 years now, and I'm not. I can't tell you at what point at this moment.
So, in fact, to your knowledge, you might well have known. Since you don't know one way or the other, it's possible that in December of 1997, you did have a basis for saying that Barry Bonds had failed 3 tests, right?
I don't believe I said it, and I don't believe there's a basis for saying it.
Okay. You know, you would agree that there is a basis for saying, putting aside time, that the government alleges that Barry Bonds failed 3 tests.
At some point they did, but I don't recall at what point.
Okay, so you might have learned that as early as December 2007, January 2008.
I don't think so.
Why?
I just don't.
Well, is the reason for your concern? The reason you're concerned is that you would be guilty of a crime if you were to acknowledge that? Is that the reason for your concern?
I did not violate the protective order, and I have no concern about breaking any sort of law or being in violation of the protective order.
Let me ask you this again. What other basis, apart from matters you consider to be covered by the protective order, would have led you at any time to learn that the government contended?
I've answered your question. At some point after it was revealed in February and April of 2008 that there were the 3 positive tests, that information may have been provided to Weinstein, and he put it in his letter. It was not, to my recollection and belief, discussed in December of 2007.
Any reason why you think Weinstein would have been lying about
Oh, there's lots of lies in his letter. Sure, he's upset because I tried to terminate them. There was lots of friction because of your lawsuit. That's the primary reason. They initially lied to me when we signed the contract and told me that they had Special Pearls insurance. Well, after you filed the lawsuit, I found out that they didn't have. Then later they tried to add it. That was in January of 2008. Then they added me to the policy in June of 2008, and then after several months we got a copy of the policy, and in the written agreement for the publishing of the book, it said that there would be a $10,000 deductible, and when they finally added it 4 months after we signed, it was a $25,000 deductible. There were lots of misrepresentation and lies that were made by Skyhorse and Mark Weinstein to me.
All right.
Previous to that letter.
So I understand this. Your dealings with, you would agree that there are factual disputes between you and the people at Skyhorse, right?
Yes, I would.
And they are born to some degree of the fact that the people at Skyhorse are liars and you're telling the truth, right?
There's 1,700 pages that demonstrate the conflict and many issues in dispute in that DVD that you gave to us, and I know you've likely read them, so you know there was a history.
Can I read the question back and ask it again?
And they are born to some degree of the fact that the people at Skyhorse are liars and you are telling the truth, right?
That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay. And you also have a difference of opinion with respect to what took place when you were initially interviewed by Mr. Nowitzki, correct?
That's correct.
And the difference there in opinion is due to the fact that, according to you, you're telling the truth and Mr. Nowitzki is a liar, right?
And that's also corroborated, these tactics that he used, by Jim Valenti in his
I'm sorry,
declaration.
and it is also
I moved to strike the rest of it.
corroborated by,
The fact that he, on the day of the raid, provided information that was untrue in his memorandums of interview, not only in my memorandum, but also in Jim Valenti's, and we both filed declarations under penalty of perjury with the federal court to this effect.
Right, so, move to strike the rest. The answer that I believe to the question I asked was, in terms of the dispute over the facts that you have with Mr. Nowitzki, the answer is that you tell the truth and Mr. Nowitzki, a federal agent, is a liar, right?
I have my recollection of what occurred that day, and I guess he has his, and they don't match. So, you know, don't put words in my mouth.
Have you ever called him a liar?
I probably have.
I mean, I can pull him out. Do you think he's a liar?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, so it's clear. And you also believe that in the memorandum he created, he lied in that memorandum, right?
Objection. You've gone over
You
it
can
from
answer
the other day. You've
You can
asked it
still
three
answer.
different ways.
I understand, so I'll use up my time.
There's information in there that's untrue, and specifically he lists a whole bunch of athletes, including Jason Giambi, Jeremy Giambi, Armando Rios, on and on and on, that he claims that I told him that I gave him all drugs. The fact is, I've never met or had any type of communication at any point in time with any of them. He fabricated all of it. Okay?
Do you see a difference between, I just want to make sure we're on the same terminology. Somebody, if Nowitzki fabricated all of that, in your view, that means he lied, correct?
Yes, because he's
Okay.
claiming that I said these things.
Okay.
And as an example, back to this Mark Weinstein
Well,
letter.
I'm going to move to strike because I'm not interested in what else you have to say on that. Do you recall when the first time you mentioned a bond drug test to anybody at Skyhorse?
I don't recall.
Now, let's see.
If you look at the letter, you see the tone is he's disappointed because he's claiming that I promised it's explosive and there is none.
This is not a soliloquy.
Oh,
You're
okay.
not. Okay. Let's mark this.
22?
Yeah. And if we look down in the second page, we see that you sent a July 21st email to Mr. Weinstein.
Where I say Tony never told me anything
Yeah.
and I'm tired of his lies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so your computer, you did have email access as of July in 2008, right?
I guess on that day I did.
Okay, and this is again, there was a factual dispute between you and Mr. Lyons, correct?
Objection. I assume it's between Skyhorse and Mr. Conte.
Well,